Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle here with my continuing coverage of the 2015 NBA playoffs. And now I'm going to preview the matchup in the Eastern Conference, between the number 2 seed Cleveland Cavaliers and the number 3 seed Chicago Bulls. And for the Bulls, for the past few seasons, we can't talk about them without having to talk about the injury situation. But right now, the Cavs are going into this shorthanded. J.R. Smith, he's going to miss the first 2 games of the series while serving a suspension. And Kevin Love, he had surgery on his shoulder, and he's not going to be playing again in the postseason. And well, with Kevin Love gone, that's going to hurt them because the Bulls are a very big team. You know, in their starting lineup, they've got Noah and Gasol, 2 guys who are both capable of getting triple-doubles. You know, Gasol's a guy that, you know, he won't do it every single time, but he's capable of getting 50 points. And even when he's not scoring, both him and Noah, like they can still get you 10 rebounds and 10 assists in a game, which, you know, when you got that from the center and power forward position, man, that's hard to defend against. And they can also block and steal. These are 2 guys who are very versatile. They can play very well on both ends of the floor. And they can guard very well on multiple positions. They can score when they, and if they get involved, it's going to be very hard to defend this entire team. Not to mention that even when they go out, you've got Mirotic and Gibson coming off the bench, adding a scoring punch as well. You know, and Mirotic, he got hurt in the last series against the Bucks, and he hasn't after that, when he did come back, he hasn't necessarily had the same punch what you saw late in the season. But if he can start getting his rhythm back, feeling comfortable, and is taking some more of those 3-point shots, man, that's gonna be difficult to defend. The Cavs have some good big men. You know, they've still got Thompson, they've got Mozgov, they've got Perkins on the bench. I don't know how many minutes he's gonna play or how effective he'll be in those minutes. But still, you've got 3 defensive big men these are 3 guys who basically live in the paint on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be a difficult matchup for them, either way you put it. And obviously with J.R. Smith out, you lose some of the scoring touch, and you do have to start relying more on defense, which you can sometimes do against the Bulls. They have trouble scoring at times, but if the shots are falling for them, you know, you're going to have to make some shots of your own, which can be tough to do when they're playing good defense. You know, and obviously you want to look at some of the individual matchups. You got Derrick Rose versus Kyrie Irving. Derrick Rose, a former MVP, and at times he started to show flashes of his old self. And Kyrie, he's having basically the best season of his career. So the 2 of them going head to head should be great. And especially because Derrick's a better defender, Kyrie though better offensively. So it'll be a nice little matchup on both ends of the floor. And also, the one I'm really looking forward to, LeBron James versus Jimmy Butler. You know, when LeBron was in Miami, when they play against the Bulls, Butler would often end up guarding him. And I do want to see the 2 of them continue to go head-to-head in this series. I think that'll be a great matchup to pay attention to. And overall, I mean, they both have decent benches, though I can name more bench players for the Bulls than I can for the Cavs. Mostly just because the Bulls, like, you see their bench players as much as you see the starters because of all the injuries that they've piled up, which, is one of the reasons why you fear their bench a little bit more, because they've got more playing time and experience as opposed to some of these guys for the Cavs who, off the top of my head, I can't even really think of who else is there. There's Thompson and the Perkins, Dellavedova, I think. Other than that, I think, they added Shumpert. He came over with Smith. But 2 of those guys that I just mentioned might end up in the starting lineup now with the injury and the suspension. So their bench is weaker still. And so, yeah. Overall, it's a 2-3 matchup, so you expect it's going to be difficult. And they are very evenly matched. This is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and I think most of these games will be won by less than 5 points, decided in the final 5 minutes. And there could be a bunch of game-winning shots or game-winning misses. Maybe 1 or 2 game-winning blocks. Who knows? There might be a few overtime periods in here. And I just think, smart money says to go with the Cavs because You know, LeBron James, he's had championships before. He's been there, done that, and knows how to step up in pressure situations. And he's got a decent team around him, whereas the Bulls, you know, are they going to have enough energy to get them over that hump? Because it's a very big hump that, like, those final 3 minutes, can they close it out? Because you saw against the Bucks, they did have trouble closing them out, you know. They could have swept them. They were capable of doing that, but they let them win two. They let them pull off 2 wins in a row, and end up having to play in Game 6 when they could have been resting the whole time. Either way, though, you know, I think the Bulls, especially if they play like they did in Game 6, you know, they're very capable of winning this series. You know, but even if they play like they did in Game 6, you'll still be seeing those, like, them winning like 90 to 89, 92 to 91. You know, it'll still, because the Cavs are a much better team than the Bucks. So, you know, it's going to be a very difficult series. We're going to see the momentum swing back and forth a few times. Like I said, I'm going with the Cavs just because they've been more consistent, not only throughout the year, but just in recent games. You know, at the end of the season and in the playoffs. You know, the Cavs just seem more consistent on both ends of the floor. The problem that I'm having with the Bulls is that I still don't know for sure which Bulls we're going to see when the game starts. You know, for the most part, they've looked good. You know, and the Bucks, you can say that was just, it was a tough matchup. You know, maybe I was expecting them to do better against the Bucks. Maybe I was just underestimating Milwaukee. Either way, though, you know, the Cavs, I just feel like at this point in time, you know, they are more consistently scary, and so, you know, it's just, I'm picking them to have a slight edge. But like, I'd say it's like a 1-point spread in their favor. You know, the Bulls are still very capable of winning it. And in all honesty, I know we've still got Atlanta and Washington and all these other teams still out there. Brooklyn technically still alive right now. But like, this series right here is the Eastern Conference Finals. Whoever wins this is going to the NBA Finals. We all know that.